So I've been involved in places and precincts almost 30 years. So starting up in Brisbane and then a couple of decades in London and Singapore and Shanghai. But I think particularly in the last 5 years, there hasn't been a conversation in a boardroom where we don't talk about sustainability at a precinct or a place level, and actually making sure that we're aligned on that. We're setting some collective outcomes. I personally find this a really interesting area of work to tackle collectively. And I think it's terrific here in Sydney. We're trailblazing with the first improvement district, but I think more and more there's going to be a requirement for collaboration to really address the climate emergency and work collectively on some of these solutions. Number one, we have a decade. This decade is the last decade to really make some meaningful change globally across many sectors for the future of our children and grandchildren. But I think equally, customers from a commercial perspective are now demanding it. You can see growing evidence year on year, whether it's tourism, consumption, professional services, universities, whatever sector you're in, whether it's your employees, your customers, your consumers, there's a requirement, and rightly so, to really be transparent on how we're addressing the climate emergency, reducing carbon, sustainable supply chains, and also looking after the communities in which we work and operate. Yes, it's really interesting. We're piloting this new partnership improvement district on the Western Harbour of Sydney. So everything from Walsh Bay right through to the Sydney Fish Market and the Powerhouse. It's a wonderful bit of Sydney and Australia, actually, and loved by locals and also visited by tourists, interstate and around the world. But I think for us, when we think about sustainability, there are so many areas we could lean into collectively as 500 businesses and organizations. So thinking about energy use and renewable, thinking around our scope 3, so offsetting how our visitors and employees get there, thinking around our employment and our connection to country and community. So what I'm really interested in the next 12 months is to explore all those areas and actually where our businesses, our consumers, our visitors, our employees feel that we're going to have most value by working collectively together. And I did a similar project in London, and it took us a good 2 years to work that out. But actually, when you do come together, agree those one or two areas, set some collective outcomes and targets aligned to the city and the state and the government, then you can get some really pretty fast results when you're working in that endeavour. So I hope we can replicate that here, not just in Sydney's waterfront, but right around New South Wales and indeed Australia as well. None of us know all the answers here, and none of us can achieve what we need to individually. The sum of the parts is collective endeavor. The improvement district model really lends itself to that as well. But I think sometimes it can be enormous, the task ahead of us, and we keep pushing out the targets to net zero into the 40s, 2050. We're hoping there's going to be innovation, but it starts today. It starts tomorrow. There are small steps that all types and sizes of businesses in the tourism, visitor, transport economy can start to adapt in their own business practices today. So no task is too small. We need to think about some of those ground floor level initiatives, but also work to scale up collectively as well. So it's great that we're all wanting to achieve this, but let's get some practical, tangible programs in place rather than just keep pushing it out or sort of putting our offsets into the future as well. Look, really have to commend TTF for bringing this group together. I think none of us have the answers. We all have different perspectives from the different sectors we operate in, from the public sector, whether you're city, state, or federal. I hope I can bring some of that global experience that I've had in some of these programs from Europe and other parts of Asia. But look, we're on a journey together. This is about the future of the planet. And I think TTF really have to be commended for bringing forward another really good platform to come together and share ideas and initiatives.